Feel free to click Simple Template and Inches or Architectural Template and Inches. The only difference between the two of them is that the Architectural Template will not have the blue sky. So when you're first working in SketchUp, sometimes it's easier to use the blue sky to help you orient yourself. I will click Architectural Template. So if you haven't used this before, go ahead and try it. And you can sort of see the sky up here. Select the person and delete them. Next, zoom into the area where the three axes meet. Oops. If you get disoriented like that, use the zoom intense key to bring you back to the middle. That will always bring you back to where those three axes intersect. Next, we're going to use the rectangle tool, and we're going to make a rectangle that's 3 inches by 3 inches. So we're going to click Start Our Move, type 3 inches or quotes, comma, and then type 3 inches again, and click Enter. This will give you your 3 inch by 3 inch rectangle. If you want to measure it, you can do so, and then just click Command Z because we do not want to have the measurements on this example. Next, we're going to change our orientation in a way that we haven't done yet. We're going to click Camera, and we're going to go to Standard View and Top. Now I'm looking straight down on my square. But as you can see, I can still see the Z-axis is at a little bit of an angle. That means that the perspective is turned on. So I'm going to go up to Camera again and click Perspective. You can see it's checked off here. I'm going to just click it again to turn it off. And now that blue Z-axis goes away. So now we're looking at this straight on from the top with no dimension. Next, we're going to want to use our Offset tool, which is this tool right here that's next to the scale tool. So we're going to click this, and just like with all our other tools, we're going to look for that red square, the on edge indicator, and we're going to click and pull in 1/8 of an inch. So that's 1/8 and inches, so quotes, and I'm going to click Enter. This is going to give us our border that we're going to work with. Next, we're going to use our Shapes tool and the Offset tool to kind of create a design. You can draw anywhere and even over the border. But you can see that when you do this, you actually cut over the surfaces. So these become separate objects. This is the one we want to keep. So I'm just going to click this edge and bring it in maybe a little bit like that. And then I'm going to take my line tool and maybe bring it over to the edge like that. Now be careful when you do this because you want to make sure that that line actually connected to the edge. So sometimes you have to zoom in and out to make sure it worked. I'm going to click Escape with that, and now I'm going to bring it over tangent here. Click the space bar to get the selection tool to make sure that I actually cut that out. Now I'm going to delete the extraneous things that I don't want, and that would be here. We want to maintain this border, so I'm going to make sure I delete these outside edges. And I might even use the Offset tool here again to create another offset. And maybe this time I'm going to use the pencil tool and bring that edge to here. Click Escape to get out of the tools. What is important is to check and make sure that you've actually cut the surface. Here, I'm going to do the same thing. I think I'm going to draw a line here. And maybe I'll delete this line here around the edge, and maybe I'll use the Offset tool again. This part here is going to be my negative space, so this is going to go all the way through, and this is going to be cut. But these pieces are going to remain intact. Now maybe I'll play around with some other things, like maybe the rectangle tool. Use my Offset tool. So this could be a negative space, except I have to make sure that it connects somewhere. So I think what I'm going to do is draw a line across like this and maybe vary these edges. And now it gets a little confusing. So I'm going to just sort of delete the things I think I want to keep. So I'm going to go like this. So this would be the negative space that would get deleted. So it would be connected to the border here. And then I might do something more in here. So I could connect this again, use my offset tool. So now we can start to test to see if what we did actually might work. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select the parts I want to get rid of. So every part that's gray is going to be wood. And every part that is see-through is going to be the cutaway. So maybe this is my piece. And so I should look here and see whether I should make some areas stronger or not. It's really a lot about experimentation. And you'll see that when you start to bring things across that it will fill in. Click the space bar to get the selection tool and then see what these things look at. I wanted to make something like a rectangle in here. I could just draw it in and then select it and get rid of it. So I think I have a design that I like. I don't want you to do anything to this one. Now we're going to make 4 copies of this square, but the way we're going to do it is we're going to make it a component. So the way to do that is to triple click, make a copy of this one. So to do that, you're going to triple click so you select the edges and the surfaces as well as underneath. And you're going to select the Move tool, click the lower left-hand side, click the Option key of your keyboard. So you're going to click to start your move, click the Option key, and now slide it directly over away from your original and then let go. Click the space bar, right click, and say Make Component. Call this one Square and click Create. Now, if you go to Window, Components, you will see that you have a component here. As a default, components are grouped. And what that means is if you make copies of them or you bring more in by selecting it and just dragging it in here, if you were to move it and you let it go and you select it again, you can move it away without it sticking. So what I'm going to ask you to do is line up these designs. So just drag into your components window, drag it in, let it go, and then move it to the center. Components are already grouped. This one to the left, your original one, is not grouped. And now what I'd like you to do is try to manipulate these to see what they might look like in repeat. And now you have the opportunity to kind of manipulate these a little bit and see what they might look like in different configurations. You can use the rotate tool, and to use the rotate tool, you click in the center, pull out the arm, click again, and then if you wanted to rotate it 180 degrees, you can do that and then put it back. I'm going to try to rotate these two. So I'm going to click, then click rotate, click away. It's best to do it so that you see the red or green axes. Green would be going up and down, red is here, and then I'm just going to spin it over to the other red side. And depending on where you click, you might have to reorient your piece. So now you can get an idea, if you click away, what that might look like if it was in a different repeat. So we're going to change our camera angle, standard view, and we're going to just change that to ISO. And you can see this looks kind of funny, and this is always an indication that you have the perspective turned off. So you'll go back up to camera again and just click perspective, and now that looks a little bit more normal. These are grouped. So what that means is that if I use the push-pull tool now, it won't select it. So I have to double click to get inside the grouped object. This is the magic of the component. If I manipulate one, like selecting and bringing it up 1/8 of an inch, I'm just going to type in 1/8 inches and click enter, it does it to all of them. Notice that it did not do it to the first one that we did, and that's because we made the copy of the first one a component and not the first one. And this is exactly what we want for this kind of a project.